Hey folks, well, I've got a wee bit of news before we get to debunking. Shall we get on with the intro first, shall we?
It's a fucking intro. It's a fucking intro. I'm doing this temporarily until I get a new intro scene. It's a fucking intro. It's a fucking intro. It's a fucking intro. Now on with the main show.
Alright, my news. I may not be around for a wee while. A lot less than I am currently. Firstly, I've got a job interview tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. I might get a job again. But that never stopped me from posting before. So yeah, we're all good. The thing is, I'm having a few medical issues. I'm getting a referral to the hospital to get a check-up. I'm not too worried about it because the worst case scenario is very rare for men to get. Well, it's not rare for men to get, it's just a rare condition to get, and it's pretty much male only. Don't worry about it. I'm just letting you know I might not be around for a wee while it gets sorted. Even the worst case scenario is the most treatable version of the worst case scenario, and most likely will be cured because I've got it early. So yeah, don't worry about it. I'm not. Right. What else? Oh yeah, another reason why I won't be around so much is I'm setting up my own business, and it's preparing for that. You know, creating a business plan, getting everything ready, working up capital, sorting out stuff. So anyway, debunking. Yes. Well, we got this guy, and he gives us reasons why we can see God. Shall we watch it?
You got Randy Campbell. Welcome, my atheist friends, and soon to be my Christian brothers and sisters, because the time is coming, eh?
Well, that's rather pretentious of you to presume that I'd become a theist after so long being an atheist just by what you say.
Of course, we'll wait and see what you say and see if you do convert us.
You're going to accept Christ, I promise you.
Why? Does he have cookies?
And I've had about enough out of your nonsense.
Oh dear, I am really quaking in my boots. You just can't see it because the camera's not down there, but really, my knees are like this. Over how much you frighten me over the fact that you've had enough.
You guys need proof. Because you're smarter than everybody else. You need proof, or you can't believe.
Yes, pretty much. That's the answer. We need evidence, we need proof. It's the same for anything. I'm not going to believe someone who's trying to sell me a car when they tell me it's done low mileage until I check out for myself whether it's done low mileage.
Well, if you were smart, you wouldn't need the proof. You'd already know.
No, if you're smart then you ask for evidence all the time. If you're dumb as fuck, then you ask for nothing. You just know.
Here's your proof. I'll give you some proof so you can calm down and realize it's God.
I can't wait to see the proof that proves it's God.
You're standing on the proof. This earth is your proof. The air that you breathe is your proof.
And how is it proof exactly? Actually, I'm kind of sitting on a couch. Not really standing. But how is the earth proof of God exactly? We've already concluded how earth came about through scientific means that didn't involve a God. And we have the evidence to show for that. How does your God prove... How does it... the earth or the air that we breathe prove your God, considering that we've already figured out how air came about as well? So please tell me how your proof trumps scientific understanding for the last couple of 100 years.
Babies born. Stars aligned.
Ben and Jerry, Frankenberry, random things, shouted out, evidence, not needed.
Moon and sun revolving around the earth.
Wait. Did you just say moon and earth, the moon and sun revolving around the earth? You're a geocentrist? I'm not surprised, to be honest, considering you think that just randomly shouting things is proof of God. But really, the earth does not revolve, the sun does not revolve around the earth. The universe is not centered around earth. The solar system isn't even centered around earth. We revolve around the sun. That has been known since Galileo's time.
The ecosystem. The ecosystem in the ocean, how it works.
All come with a scientific understanding that do not involve the supernatural, i.e. your God.
The food chain, how it works.
A food chain is when you start at the bottom, say with a plant life, and it gets eaten. And the thing that eats that gets eaten, and then the thing that eats that gets eaten, until you get to the top. And it's all about energy transference. Yes, I think it's about 10% of the energy from the thing before gets transferred, and that's what you use. It's all understandable, and it's all understandable with science, and no need for a God. I'm going to repeat this all the time.
Everything is God.
If everything is God, then what need do we have for God or for religion? Because surely then you're worshipping yourself. Self-worship. I'm a God by your standard. I don't believe in myself as a God. I doubt you'd very much believe that I'm God, but according to you, I am. I am God. I must have godly powers like... I can use a remote to magically turn on the TV, or turn it off, or change the channel. Godly powers.
Drop your ego, you prick.
You are the one who thinks you're God, you prick.
The proof you're looking for would sit you on your ass. You couldn't handle the proof. You couldn't handle it.
You want the proof? You want the proof? You can't handle the proof. Steal much?
You guys want to act like you're smarter than everybody else, but yet you can't believe something till you see the proof.
Yes, that's generally a definition of not being gullible, is not accepting anything without seeing the evidence. Being gullible isn't a smart thing. However, you're saying that atheists are claiming they're smarter than everyone else. Not really. I mean, a lot make the claim that they're smarter than the fundamentalist Christians or Muslims or religious folk that are fundamentalists. And a few will say that they're smarter than religious people. Those folks are in the minority and they're really stupid themselves. Most atheists will just say, well, we'll say it just to a fundamentalist like yourself. Someone who doesn't seem to realise that just asking for evidence is a pretty smart thing. It comes hand in hand with knowledge, and knowledge is what comes hand in hand with wisdom. Ignorance is not bliss, pal.
So if I say to you that girl likes you, you gotta have the proof. You're gonna sit on your couch and wait till she shows up with flowers and tells you she likes you, cause you can't believe nothing unless you see it for yourself, right?
If you tell me a lassie likes me, I would rather some evidence before I go make a fool of myself by going up to her. I wouldn't expect her to come to my house with flowers and boxes of chocolate and shit like that. But I would expect some fucking sort of evidence. You know, perhaps you pointing out how she's always hanging around. If she's talking to me, will she play with her hair, which is a shown sign of attraction. I would look for these little things. not just taking your word for it. Because that's something that we grow out of in primary school and in school. Primary school and secondary school for us in Scotland and England, I suppose. Preschool and I don't know, whatever the hell you call it in America. But generally in high school we get rid of that fucking the symptoms of believing what your mates say, because usually it's a prank that they're trying to pull on you. You notice these things generally as you grow up. You grow out of them.
You call that smart?
Asking for evidence to validate claims? Yes.
How could you ever go into business and foresee the possibility of being successful if you don't take a leap of faith?
Generally those people who are successful in business will come up with a hypothesis. They view that they might be able to sell this item, and then they do research into it. That's your evidence hunting. See, I'm going into business for myself, selling sweeties. I mean, I know the sweetie I will be making, or candy to you. Perked up your interest there, didn't I? Now, I have had business meetings. I have this projection, I've got a business plan. I'm not just going to go into business without doing some market research, without presuming to check the ground first. That's a smart business plan. That's evidence. I don't just suddenly think, I can sell this. I'm going to be successful. I know I am. I'm not going to bother with market research. I'm not going to bother checking. I'm just going to go straight to the market. Sure, some people do that because they have a thing that is needed. But most successful businesses will actually check out the market first. They'll notice there's a niche. They'll notice there's something missing from the market, or their product is superior to what's currently available on the market, and they'll do research. I sincerely hope you don't think about going into business with this idea of just knowing it'll work.
You don't want proof, because the proof will make you get on your knees and bow to the Creator.
If I don't want proof, why am I asking for it? I want evidence to validate your claims. If you provide me evidence that can stand up to tests, then yes, I will believe your God exists. It doesn't mean I'll worship him, but I'll believe he exists.
So don't act like you're looking for proof. You ain't even looking for proof. You got the scientists and your so-called smartest people in the world looking, while you sit back and wait for them to put it on the computer so that you can sit there and say, here's my proof that God doesn't exist. Meanwhile, you think God is that easy to figure out? You think scientists are going to figure out God?
If you're moaning because people aren't doing the science themselves, there's a simple reason for that. They're not qualified to. That's why we wait for scientists to publish it. They're the ones that come up with the ideas, they're the ones that do the testing, and then when they publish it in the end after going through this rigorous scientific method, that's fine by me, because I know it's been tested again and again and again. Now you're right, scientists would not be able to figure out God if there was, because he's supernatural, and science is the study of the natural. However, as soon as something supernatural affects the world of the natural, then it becomes observable. And anything that's observable is covered by science and researched by science. The thing is, there's not been a single observable fact by any god.
God's elusive. Don't you know that?
Oh, good dodge. You can't find God? Of course not. He's elusive. You can't study that. Why even bother looking? Just believe, damn it.
It's especially elusive to blind people.
Most things are.
Because you see, once you realize God and once you accept Jesus Christ, God is no longer mysterious to those that are awake.
So you can explain why cancer strikes so many humans. That's all part of God's plan, and if he's not so mysterious anymore, you can explain this, right? Or why children are born miscarried. Why rape? Why murder? You can explain all these things because they're all part of God's plan, and he's no longer mysterious to you because you believe in him, I presume. Can't you?
God's only mysterious to those that are asleep.
Ever hear the cop-out phrase when a difficult question is asked people about why something like a child being lost happened if God's around? God works in mysterious ways. It's a cop-out. It's a way to explain without explaining. It's pretty piss poor. But you're saying that all these people are that saying is only for those who don't believe? Then what right have you to say that someone doesn't believe if they say they believe in Jesus Christ?
And you're not even asleep, you're unconscious. You want to ask why atheists haven't had a shot at running this world, why nobody's voted in an atheist. You want to act like Christian and religion and that causes a war and destruction and we need to go ahead and put our faith in an atheist. Are you hearing yourself, son?
The main reason is that religion has controlled the world for so long that atheists are a stigma to most people. They're seen as vile, evil things because that's what the church has been teaching for hundreds of years. Or churches have been teaching, or at least the monotheistic ones. The pantheistic ones don't really care that much, to be honest.
And nobody gonna put their faith in an atheist, son. You got no faith. You get what you put out. If you got no faith, you can't get no faith.
That's not how it works.
You understand? You better start wondering why you don't have a soul.
I'm ginger. Simple as that.
Because that's what it sounds like. It doesn't sound like to me like you're anything short of empty. Rather than worry about discrediting God or trying to edge God out, ego, edge God out, ego, edge God out, ego, edge God out.
Arsehole. Amazingly repugnant. Shithead. Evangelical. Horrible. Obese. Lame. Egypt. Arsehole. Amazingly repugnant. Shithead. Evangelical. Horrible. Obese. Lame. Egypt. I can do it too.
Rather than do that, why don't you seek and find out why your soul is missing? Because I can feel a soul deep within me, as all Christians and people that have souls and feel souls and believe in souls, they can feel it within them.
Then why can no one define what a soul is? Why can no one describe to me what their soul is? And how they know it's that part, that it's not just their conscience or things that can be explained away. Where does your soul reside? Where does it hide? Considering that we've taken apart bodies and we can't find anywhere for housing a soul. And I also know why my soul is missing. It's because I never had one. And I'm ginger.
You need to ask yourself why you can't. 7 billion people in the world. Not all names are written in the book of life. You might want to add that into your research when you start figuring out why you can't feel your soul, son.
The book of life? God has a book of life now? Generally that's something from along the lines of an ancient religion. It wouldn't surprise me if you Christians had absorbed it, but I've never heard of it before. I suppose that thing at the door with St. Peter and all that bollocks, of course, that's most likely a Catholic thing. But really, not everyone's written in there, then he's not that great a God, is he? If he can't get hold of everyone to write down in there about what. Even Santa has every child on his naughty or nice list. And you're telling me that God can't even get everyone written down in his little book? His little black book? Good grief. That's just ridiculous. And you're making the claim that everyone who is religious and believes in souls can feel that soul. They can... It's bullshit, pal. It's bullshit. And again, yes, I do know why mine is missing. I'm ginger.
I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray that you find your soul. I'm going to pray that it's hiding in the depths of your being. So afraid to come out because you've suppressed it with all of your egotistical bullshit.
Okay, we've established that you think your soul is a separate entity from yourself, and it has its own mind. It's a parasite, in other words. Is that how you define a soul? Because it seems to be from the way you're talking.
You better get right with God.
You just say you better get right with God?
You better get right with God.
Oh, right with God. Good grief. Whew. For a minute you were suggesting I was going to go rape God, or God was going to rape me.
Better stop your nonsense. I got good news and bad news, son. The good news is God's watching.
That big pervert.
The bad news is God's watching.
And he can see what you're doing. And he's noting down the techniques that you're using, because he's quite interested in the next time he impregnates someone. I mean, you know, it's like cunnilingus wasn't that wildly used back in the days, so you know, he's learning a few of those techniques, so a tongue twister techniques by watching you having devious little sex. Ooh, doesn't it feel creepy, folks, when people say God's watching? Ooh, he's the biggest pervert around. He's also watching little kiddies get undressed. But we'll skip over that, shall we, when we say that God's watching?
Enough!
I've got to hear that again.
Enough!
I've got to play that again and hear that again.
Enough!
I'm sorry. This amused me so much to hear him say that.
Enough!
Well, let's carry on, shall we?
Get off your high horse before somebody takes you off it. Get right with God. Had enough out of you. Getting sick and tired of repeating myself. Smarten up.
Yes, get off your high horse, speaking your mind before someone shuts you up with some violence. That's a good Christian value. Well, pal, you can fuck off. Just spouting random shite and then making spurious claims about God and how atheists feel and think isn't enough to change anyone's mind. Or at least no one who's fucking smarter than you, which is pretty much mostly everyone. Especially as you seem to think that the sun rotates around the earth, a view that's been dismissed for a long time now. I suppose you think that gravity is fake as well. Anyway folks, there we go. It's all done. I've had enough! See you eventually, hopefully with better news next time. See you later.